Hello and welcome to Dell's Gaming, and this is From the Depths, and we're in the campaign mode on this nice sunny but slightly turbulent water day in Netta, and we are on the new carrier, converted carrier, which we'll go through in a minute, ready to take on our next adversary faction, or our next adversaries. So we've got the White Flayer. We've done I have been doing quite a bit of updating. Our heli systems, our radar systems are a lot larger area, and we can see much larger areas to go for. I've upgraded some of the main Grand Fleet just to make them a little bit more suitable against the White Flayers, and also created this new carrier group which has our new carrier force. So this is a converted Halsey battleship, which we have put some spawners on for various aircraft which we will use against the White Flyers. Now this idea of reusing a ship really started after like the New York Treaty, World War I, because a lot of battleships and battle cruisers that were half built, rather than scrapping them, a lot of naval forces decided to build them into carriers which weren't part of the treaty at that time. So they could at that time they were just basically lopping off everything at the top, the guns, and then putting a carrier structure on top. The conversion of a fully built battlecruiser was done by a few navies, but specifically there was the Japanese class, I think it was the Issei or Issei class, where they actually did take off the rear turrets and rear guns and put a more of a maintenance deck than a runway on the rear, and it was more of a sea boat tender. But this idea of slanted full runways wasn't abnormal. The Iowa class battleship, USS Iowa and other classes, there was a plan or suggestion for this type of outfitting when they were going to go into mothballs, and they would run helicopters or short takeoff aircraft like Harriers off the back, and you'd still have the 16-inch guns on the front, and that would have been rather interesting for shore bombardment, etc. But what we're going to do in here, using our carrier, is we're under the feeling at the moment that the White Flayers have taken over this area here in a not necessarily in a way that we agree with, shall we say, and that potentially we should have that area, quite simply. So we're going to do a freedom of navigation exercise in the area of the White Flayers, because we feel that, you know, they shouldn't necessarily have control of this area, and we should be in control of it, quite simply. So we're going to set our ships to go on a little, shall we say, little training exercise, just to see what the freedom of navigation is in this area, and if the enemy should object to that, well, that's up to them. And the White Flayers have decided to object to our usage of their area and have sent in their little fleet. So we've got the Flaggator resource area, and also they've sent in a Retaliator or Pontus sub, Slasher, and a few other various targets, shall we say. So we're going to target them mainly with the carrier group, and then add in the destroyer group. Now we'll show the lineup, but I'm going to reduce this down to about 100. I think we'll go for about 100k. I think we should be okay about there. And we actually want in our carrier straight away with its forces, and the other ships we'll put nearer the bottom, so we'll have them come in afterwards, I think. So after that battle, well, we did beat them, but it wasn't a positive battle for the carrier-borne forces. They did reasonably well. The biggest problem was ammo. They basically fired their ammo, their shots, couple of shots out, and then they were waiting to reload constantly with the missiles. The missiles have just got such a large ammo requirement. And then the guns here on the actual ship were shooting as well, which was using all of the ammo up from the carrier. So maybe I'll have to have a look at that. But next stage, what we need to do is basically, first of all, take everything out of play. And what we'll also now do is basically remove all of the spawned in aircraft, so we get their resources back. So in this next little battle, what we're going to do is use the Grand Fleet with the destroyer and the other ships to initiate an attack here. And we use the carriers, the carrier groups, purely as a support group in this particular instance, just to come in if for some reason the main group cannot take them on. But we'll mainly go in, I think, with this first, see how our original ships would do against the White Flayers. Now it looks like we're gonna basically have a full match here. We've got all of our ships can come in at once, so we will just set up our fleet. What are we up against? We are up against a Treachery. Okay, that's a different one, and some aircraft, actually quite a mix. So okay, we're gonna end up bringing out in all of our ships. So let us begin. And Dell's Grand Fleet did very well there against the White Flayers force with the Treachery and various other vessels. The big guns of the Dreadnought quite happily ripped through the enemy. They are slightly modified to what was used against the Onyx Watch, with slightly higher velocity and slightly more AP than the previously used, rather than being purely HESH. So what we'll do now is we'll bring the carrier fleet in on its own against this fleet. Let's see how the carrier fleet manages against a similar sort of force to what the Grand Fleet was up against. So in this square we've got a little battle coming up with the White Flayers. They have a Treachery and looks like lots of small harasser, one sub there, some sea flayers, martyrs, you know, quite a range of ships. Now what I'm going to do is bring just about everything in at once again, similar to I did with the other ships, and we'll see how the ships do. Now I don't like the way they are facing, so I'm going to change the facing of some of these ships here just to give them a slightly different facing, create a little screen of all of the ships. So we've got a frigate screen, and our sub is out in front, so it can hopefully get some shots in at the Treachery nice and early. So that battle was okay, and we won convincingly, but I do feel it was more the frigates working than the aircraft. It seemed I had a lot of 0 health ships at the end of that, almost like the ships were dying immediately at spawn and not getting a chance to build up before they were getting destroyed. And that's maybe something I need to look at as having a more secure area to build the aircraft. Now I'm going to try one other battle with them quickly, and that is I've left some of the aircraft already spawned in, so it will have a set of aircraft to immediately go and attack the enemy with. I'm going to try that as a basis and have the spawned aircraft as the reserves that will come in to help, hopefully, but the initial wave of aircraft will hopefully attack the enemy. So we'll give that a go next. And that was a little bit better as a battle. Having the aircraft spawned in first, they did load up and manage to get a few shots in, so I think that seems to be better. Looking at it, the other ships, the other aircraft, were either not being created in time, that could be partially a resource materials level issue. Basically the aircraft carriers run out of materials, or they were getting destroyed as they were being built. So the idea of the drones sort of worked, but I think it would be better to have some pre-created aircraft which are either drones and or spawned in and just docked to the aircraft carrier at the beginning and released straight away. So I think I will work on that as an alternative way for the aircraft carrier to work, to have a core set of aircraft which are docked and created prior to the battle, and then have a set of possibly small drones which only will come in as reserves or extras to the fight, because as you can see there's quite a lot of ships there in that group now. A lot of these could be removed, and you can see they're so low that it's created these were obviously all getting destroyed as they were being built, I am guessing. That's why they're all on such low level, and the system just wasn't handling it very well. So I think it'd be better to have a few of these created and just be part of the ship rather than auto spawning. So we'll see how that goes as a bit of a rebuild for our carrier, or possibly redo this carrier. I think the other side was ammo, in that the ship was using most of its ammo for its own missiles and guns rather than concentrating on using it for the aircraft, which I think was a definitive downside for the system as such. Anyway, next one, we seem to have a group coming in for our Grand Fleet, and we'll also then look at our aircraft and sub-fleet, which has also had some new additions and some new aircraft, and we'll see how they do against the White Flayers. In the meantime, I will rebuild the carrier and have that ready to go in on the next time we come in, hopefully. But until now, until next time, please leave any comments below about the game and what you think. It's a little awkward. We'll see how it is doing it in, I'm going to say before I go, doing things in the designer in build mode is sometimes different to what you see in the campaign, because in the build mode you've got unlimited resources, lots of energy, etc. Here you have finite resources, you have to cater with what the enemy's going to be doing and attacking you, so it's not always comparative. I've had a few crashes and other stutters during this particular battles, etc., but yeah, we've managed to get through it after a couple of resaves. But it's all working as such, and I want to continue on this campaign as quick as I can. So leave any comments below, but as always, keep playing the game and have fun.